We all know Zazu as the loyal major domo of Pride Rock who served Mufasa. The story we're told is simple. Zazu was the good guy and more of a side character. And that makes it harder to notice that some things Zazu did and didn't do actually don't make sense. Today, I will present to you a theory that says Zazu isn't who you think he is. First of all, why would Zazu even want to be evil? Because when we look at Scar, the main villain of The Lion King 1, his motivation was pretty obvious. He was jealous of his brother Mufasa and always in his shadow. But Zazu? He had an important and honorable role of helping the great King Mufasa run the Pride Lands. But actually, he was pushed around and disrespected by everyone, including Mufasa and even young Simba. In Simba's I Just Can't Wait to Be King, Zazu literally says,
"If this is where the monarchy is headed, count me out of service."
He was loyal to his role of serving the king, but he didn't like who the future king was, and maybe even who the current king was. That's why he secretly allied with Scar, as they had a shared enemy. But let's get into the real evidence, because there's a lot of it. After Simba and Nala, wanting to go to the elephant's graveyard, shake off Zazu, they get there. But then Zazu just conveniently showed up, but only after they were in the hyena's territory. So how did he know they went to the graveyard? It was Scar who instilled the idea into Simba, but nobody else knew about it.
And remember, it's our little secret.
You could argue that after the two shook off Zazu, he luckily spotted them at a distance. Maybe they were still in the Pride Lands, but by the time Zazu caught up, they were already in the Outlands. But just keep watching, because when the hyenas showed up and started chasing Simba and Nala, Zazu flew off to get Mufasa. Fine. But then he led Mufasa to their exact location, even though they were no longer at the elephant graveyard where he had left them. Now they were at a completely different place. He couldn't have known where the hyenas would chase Simba and Nala, unless Scar, the hyenas, and Zazu had planned it all. And this leads us to the next point, because Zazu was around when the cubs got attacked by Shenzi, Banzai, and Ed. These same three hyenas later become Scar's top lieutenants when he becomes king. If anyone found out about this, Scar would look really suspicious. But apparently nobody found out. So why did Zazu keep this in secret? The next evidence is that when Scar came to warn Mufasa about Simba being in the gorge, Zazu was standing right there with Mufasa. Completely innocent on its own, but connected with the other facts of the case, looks highly suspicious. What was Scar doing with Simba near the gorge? Why not rescue him from the stampede himself and not waste time going for Mufasa? These would be some holes in Scar's plan, unless he was working with Zazu all the time. Because these are questions Zazu could have asked out loud, in front of the lionesses at any point, but he never did. Now for the next evidence, we have to use a scene that was only in the live action and not in the original movie. But that's the only way to support this point. After Mufasa's death, Scar told everyone he didn't get to the gorge in time and wasn't there to save him and Simba.
I only wish I had gotten to the gorge in time. Been there to save them.
But that's a lie. And Zazu was at the gorge. He saw Scar there with his own eyes. So why didn't he stand up in front of the lionesses and say that Scar did make it to the gorge? One word from Zazu and Scar's entire story falls apart. But Zazu said nothing. Now let us pull back a little and go over a sub-theory that explains some of Zazu's accusations. Maybe Zazu wasn't evil, and he confronted Scar with the holes I mentioned, like how did Simba get to the gorge, or the three hyenas first attacking the prince and then becoming Scar's lieutenants. But when Zazu confronted him with the evidence to get a confession, Scar imprisoned him. Now Zazu is imprisoned in the ribcage, under constant surveillance, and can't say a word without Scar, or at least a few hyenas, overhearing. He can't tell the lionesses anything. He has no way out. And Scar can't just kill him either. The lionesses would find it very suspicious if the king suddenly decided to execute the royal majordomo, but he also isn't about to stop the hyenas from eating him.
Eat Zazu.
Most people took this as a dark joke, but if Zazu knows about the murder, this is Scar using the hyenas to try and remove the problem with plausible deniability. He can't kill Zazu himself without looking suspicious, but if the hyenas do it during a food shortage, that's just nature. Now, some people argue that Scar imprisoned Zazu simply so he couldn't fly off and get help somewhere. But think about that for a second. Where would Zazu even go? Is Scar really worried that another lion king, elephant, or a gorilla is going to abandon their territory, cross into the Pride Lands, and take on an army of hyenas to overthrow a king who rules a land that isn't even theirs? And remember, at this point, Scar still thinks Simba is dead. The only real threat to him is someone inside the Pride Lands finding out the truth about Mufasa. The theory is that Zazu has a secret that Scar doesn't want him to spill to the Pride. There's also the thing that it isn't easy to be around Zazu all day without going crazy.
No, not Zazu.
Scar and Zazu didn't seem like such good friends to be together all the time. We can see that when Mufasa confronts Scar about his absence from Simba's presentation, Scar really doesn't like Zazu. So why would he want Zazu around all day, every day, keeping him close and watched? He did it for a more important reason than he would like him or his singing. So that's the whole theory claiming Zazu is evil, or at least he knew about the murder. In my eyes, it's a really crazy theory, but it gets so much evidence right that it couldn't be ignored, and I had to make a video about it. Let me know in the comments what you think about all of this, and if you actually believe this theory. Long live the king.